Hello, Lady A here. Apologies for the great delayed episodes. Things have gotten a bit out of hand. So, from now on, I won't be able to definitely say when the next episode is coming out. I'll just try to produce them as soon as I can. Enjoy this episode, and if you feel like, you can leave feedback at the Andromeda Archives at gmail.com, or, if your platform allows it, comment below. Thank you. January 7th, 1610. Galileo Galilei, observing the night sky as he often did, discovers something orbiting around the planet Jupiter. What he first thought were stars, later became moons. Some of the earliest moons discovered, other than our own. These moons, which were later called the Galilean moons, were Europa, Io, Callisto, and today's focus, Ganymede. Named for Ganymede, a Trojan prince, cupbearer of the gods, who was kidnapped by Jupiter in the form of an eagle. He was quite beautiful, so beautiful in fact, that he could have inspired wars, not much unlike Helen. Ganymede is the largest moon in our solar system, has a radius of 1,635 meters, or 2,631 kilometers. Is the third farthest satellite from Jupiter, after Io and Europa, being 665 miles, or 1.7 million kilometers away, with Jupiter being 5.2 astronomical units from the Sun. It's bigger than the planet Mercury and Pluto, much like its smaller cousin Titan. It's the ninth largest object in the solar system. It takes 1 week on Earth to be 1 day on Ganymede, and a year for it is 12 years for us. It's caught in what is known as an orbital resonance with Io and Europa, where one orbit for Ganymede is 2 for Europa and 4 for Io. It is believed that over the time of their development, they end up becoming locked and aligned in a way. They have elliptical orbits instead of circular. Their gravity, and being close enough, they can tug on each other, preventing circular orbits. So they're always linked together, and they're all tidally locked with Jupiter. It formed likely 4.5 billion years ago, basically the same time as our solar system, possibly formed from leftover condensed materials from dust and gas clouds that surround the Sun. It is the seventh satellite of Jupiter, and the third Galilean moon. Its structure, not unlike many moons from that part of the solar system, is many layers, having a metallic iron core, a spherical shell of ice surrounding, and a surface on top of this ice shell. Under the ice, it's quite lumpy, could be rock formations, or other forms of geothermal and tectonic activity, forming a kind of club sandwich, if you will. And it was first suspected of having underground oceans in the 1970s. The most unique thing about Ganymede, much like Titan having an atmosphere, Ganymede has its own magnetic field, which was discovered by the Galileo spacecraft in 1996. The Hubble telescope found even more evidence of a salty ocean and a very thin oxygen atmosphere. It could possibly have more water on it than all the water on Earth's surface. And thanks to spacecrafts that have flown by, we have an idea of how it sounds. It's a high-pitched whistling and hissing sound, like air being released from a balloon, thanks to the plasma waves around it. Ganymede's Magnetosphere is so strong, in fact, that it literally punches a hole in Jupiter's own, causing it to have its own little bubble to itself. 40% of its surface is covered in highly cratered dark regions, the rest of it being light grooved terrain. These darker regions could possibly be the earlier parts of the satellite that formed, and the lighter grooved areas are the result of the tectonics that occur. It is quite popular in pop culture, not as popular as the other satellites in our solar system, but popular enough, appearing in the anime Cowboy Bebop, Star Hunter, the British series Red Dwarf, and being the setting of a place called Ganymede City in 3001, The Final Odyssey. A few satellites and spaceships have been connected with Ganymede and exploration. The two pioneers, Pioneer 10 in 1973 and Pioneer 11 in 1974, made a flyby around Ganymede, as well as the two Voyagers in 1973 and 1979. The Galileo spacecraft made 6 flybys between 1996 and 2000. The New Horizons spacecraft, off on its way to Pluto, passed by in 2007. The Juno spacecraft, sent to observe Jupiter, passed by in Christmas of 2019 and June of 2021 on its 24th orbit of Jupiter. We haven't had anything up there since, but NASA is currently planning a new mission out there. The JUICE spacecraft, which stands for Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer, is currently under construction and is set to launch in August of 2023. Its first flyby will be in 2031, should enter orbit about a year later, and when it runs out of fuel, much like Cassini over at Saturn, it will crash into Jupiter's atmosphere to avoid tainting any potential of life. And that was all for Jupiter's cupbearer Ganymede and their planetary counterparts. Join us next episode, where we stay in the Jovian system and fly alongside the Juno spacecraft. I'm Lady A. Thanks for listening, and remember, the universe is the greatest archive, and we are the stardust that make it special. Messier, P992 reporting in. Currently 43 astronomical units from destination. We'll report more later.